there, my name is Rachel, and I want to welcome you here today at the table, the place where real women have real conversations about real issues. But most importantly, this is a place for community. So often as a mom, you can feel like you're at home by yourself, struggling through whatever you're going through, but this is a place for community, for you to know that you're not by yourself. And the ladies that I consider my community and consider my friends are these ladies here. Shona.
Hi.
Mary Ellen and Melody. Thanks for being here today, ladies.
No worries.
You know, today we're going to be talking about things that are going to get you thinking. Our pelvic expert, Heba Shahid, is back with the lowdown on endometriosis. We're going to be tackling the challenging question, should your kids be allowed to choose their own religion? And Gia and Olive are whipping up some cashew cheese in the kitchen. Man, I really want to know where she finds all of these great recipes. But first, here's something to consider, and it's something that I haven't thought about before, but recently I've been checking out something called bedtime math.
Math?
Oh yeah, maths with an S on it, sorry. Children love bedtime stories, but an article on the Essential Kids website suggests parents could spend some time cozying down at bedtime with a few fun equations. Do you all think we really can spin maths into as fun of a time as bedtime stories?
Well, I think we probably should be. I don't know, I think maths is a little bit underrated.
Oh, here we go.
Okay. Depends on how well the bedtime stories are constructed. I haven't actually read these bedtime stories myself, but if it's a lovely adventure about someone going to space and they solve some maths equations, I think I would find that just as entertaining as reading a storybook.
And I think in bedtime maths, they integrate a story into the maths equation.
But hold on a minute. Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't this done on a laptop?
Here we go.
So you're saying no, are you saying no
aren't we
screen time?
supposed to turn our laptops off an hour before we go to bed?
So would you say it would be more fun to do maths at night before bed without a laptop?
You'll have a
No,
maths
I'm not saying
test.
do maths at all. Hey, I'm just saying we're supposed to turn our laptops off an hour before we go to bed, aren't we?
But does anybody actually do that, though?
Oh, I don't care, but that's what they're telling us.
Well, I mean, whatever it is, though, like, you know, because I am terrible at maths, I really cannot count properly. I would actually love to be able to read that kind of bedtime stories and give him that love for numbers and the lack of fear. We do that with reading, right? We do that reading bedtime stories is to give them language, to give them the love of words. Giving them math equations before bed, isn't that giving them a love for numbers?
Yeah, it's probably another form of language and something that we can, if we just stick it in there, we shouldn't pass our fears on to our kids.
Yeah, well, when I read the article, that's what it was. It was the parents' fear of maths more than the child not understanding maths. And I remember that fear when Joshua started bringing home maths more than I knew how to deal with.
Yeah.
And I said, honey, I'll just get you a tutor.
I remember telling myself in year 11 and 12, I would bring maths equations to my mum and be like, can you please help me with this? And she wouldn't have any clue. And I told myself, I will remember this math so that when I have kids, I will be able to help them.
Do you remember any of it?
There you
No.
go. And look, we always used to do rote learning times tables, didn't we? We always had to do, I remember sitting in the car with the boys, doing it as we were driving around, doing rote times tables.
I think it would be easy to just do a little bit before you go to bed. So like the same way we would practice ABCs, like even in the house now, I would just say A, B, C, and have Jack's repeat.
But why can't you do that during the day?
You can.
Why does it have to be at bedtime?
Because
Why
you
can't
can make it fun.
bedtime be this winding down and bonding of reading time rather than maths?
Well, that's because you think math is a chore.
There's probably some mathematician out there that says this is winding down.
Yeah, exactly.
Doing a little bit of math before bedtime. Well, I think that, you know, whatever floats your boat, if that's how you enjoy spending time with your kids and you want to do a little bit of maths. But right now I want to talk about something that's a little bit trickier than maths, and it's from Sarah Beth Moore, who's writing for Pop Sugar Parenting. She and her husband have pretty mixed religious backgrounds, and she says she wants her kids to be open to all spiritual traditions and to choose their own religion. So Melody, I want to ask you, what do you make of this? Do you think that this is a good idea?
Well, actually, what I made of it is actually in an article in the tabletv.com website, so go
nice
check it
plug
out.
there.
But no, seriously, it depends on how old the kid is. To be honest, what I'm thinking is that when he's young, he's going to be exposed to the religion that I believe in. But I'm not going to force it down him when he's gotten to the age where he can make a choice.
What age is that?
That's a good question.
I think it depends on the maturity of the child. I think it depends on a lot of factors, their personality, their character traits. Honestly, it's up to the parent, I think.
So kind of a bit of a question for you ladies. Thinking of this article, these two people have gotten together. They're from different faith backgrounds. She was Jewish, he was Protestant, but neither of them was practicing that much. And they kind of said they mixed, Judaism and Christianity and a bit of secularism within their house. What are some of the challenges if you marry someone from a different faith in raising your kids?
Oh, gosh. I think, well, I was actually discussing this with a friend the other day, and I think there are two main issues. She was asking, should I date this guy who's not an Adventist, as we are all Seventh-day Adventist Christians, right? And I said, well, I mean, that's totally up to you, but there are two issues. The first is that if you really believe deeply in something, you're not going to have that depth of conversation and understanding with someone on a conversational level. But secondly, you have all these practical issues with attending church, religious practices, all of these issues that come alongside, which I actually think in a lot of ways are more difficult to deal with on a day-to-day, marriage level. I don't know, I'm not married, but yeah, so...
Well, my husband said to me, convert or I'm not marrying you. So
wow.
That was pretty simple,
No choice.
wasn't it? I didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
What was it like before, though?
Yeah.
Look, I think I had always been very spiritual and not necessarily religious. I had always been spiritual. I'd dabbled in a few things that we won't mention on air. But I had been searching for something. And I think most people these days are. And when he first took me to church, because my parents were only ever hatch, match and dispatch. So when he took me to church, it was this really foreign thing. And it did take me a long time to wrap my head around the whole concept of our religion because it was so foreign. Now I wouldn't live without it.
But yeah, in chatting with you, I was thinking that because you were saying that he made that, kind of declaration. But in chatting with you, I know that your spirituality is a deep part of your life.
It is now.
What was that change for you?
What do you mean? What was that change?
I mean, that point where he was saying, you must do this or we can't get married, and now it's very personal for you.
Yeah, I think it was a couple of years before I decided to get baptised that I actually made that decision that I wanted to be a Christian. Yeah, and then chose the faith.
At the end of the day, it's a personal choice,
Yeah.
isn't it? Because I think the danger and the difficulty lies in if two people are really, really strong in their own religion, which is different to each other. Because in your case, you are searching. And so you were open to it. But if you're not open, then...
It makes it hard.
But these two people in the article are open to it, right? They're not really grounded in their religions. But I think on the opposite end of the spectrum, so I can respect the fact that they're allowing their child to choose, but I think on the opposite end of the spectrum, when you do have two people that do believe in the same thing and they raise a child, there's always the danger of sort of indoctrinating your children.
Yes.
And I think it's really important when you do bring up your child in a religion to tell them the why behind why you actually believe things, as opposed to being like, we do this and we do this and we do this.
No.
Because then they never really kind of find their own feet.
And I found that with our boys. Once they got their licence, I said, it's now... Your religion is your religion. I can take you to the cross, but I cannot give you Jesus. You need to find Jesus for yourself. And they've chosen at this point in time to stay in the church. And I'm grateful for that, but I will not stop loving them if they go outside of the church.
And I think that that's one of the things we saw expressed in the article, is that they were teaching their kids this understanding of tolerance and this understanding, because I think grounded within our faith is this idea of love. So, ladies, I've loved having this discussion with you. We really got into some deep stuff, but now we're going to get into some business with Gia and Olive, and it looks like they're going seriously vegan today, and I'm all about that. So let's check this out.
Hi, everybody. Today we're making cashew delicious cheese.
The most delicious cashew cheese. So in our home, we're not a big fan of dairy, so we've substituted with cashew cheese. And you can use different seeds for cheeses. One of them is sunflower seeds, but we're using cashews today. And this is just a base recipe. You can add to it, you can take from it. But I'll show you how to make this one. I've soaked the cashews. You could soak them for 2 hours, overnight, an hour. It's just a cup of soaked cashews. And throw them in your blender. If you have a blender that's not so strong, like not a powerful blender, that's fine. You just soak them longer or let them sit there for a while. And you blend for longer. So we put water. Where's the water? Can you show me the water? Okay. So 1/4 cup of water.
Careful.
Whoa.
Put it in.
Good work, Pee-wee. That's awesome.
Let me put cornflakes.
No, it does look like cornflakes. That's nutritional yeast, isn't it?
1/3 of a cup of yeast. No, yay.
Yay! And we've got a yeast snow happening. Half a juice of lemon, okay? Okay. Lemon. And what else do we put in it? Some garlic. So 2 cloves of garlic. 2 cloves of garlic.
Ah.
1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar.
Yay, apple cider vinegar.
And I'm going to put a teaspoon of salt, just Celtic salt, to give it some flavour.
Salt.
The cheeses you get at the shops are just full of fat and salt, actually. Okay, so then we start blending until it's smooth, so it becomes like a cream cheese. Let's go.
Mommy.
Go on.
This one.
Yep, go. Okay, I over-blended a little bit because I only soaked my cashews for half an hour. But this is the consistency. And I'll show you with this too. Can you see that? So that's the consistency of, so it's quite thick. And when you put it in the fridge, it'll thicken up even more. And we, like for the kids, this is such a good way to give the kids some nuts. Like, not many kids have cashew allergies, but a lot of kids do get nut allergies. But if they don't, this is a good way to get some. So you can have your cashew cheese on crackers, you can have it with veggies as a dip, and serve it out to your kids or whoever's come over. Enjoy the cashew cheese. Please follow us on the Table TV show on Facebook or thetabletv.com on our website. And you can find lots of different recipes that you can use the cashew cheese, and you can add things to it too. Please let us know if you add things to it and how it worked out on our Facebook page. See you soon.
Bye.
I love cashew cheese. Have you tried it before? Now, if you're keen to master the skills of healthy, tasty meal preparation, we've got something for you today, and I think you're going to really appreciate it. It's called More Nature Superfoods, and it's our free giveaway recipe book today for all of our Aussie and Kiwi friends. If you'd like us to send you yours, all you need to do is email us at hello@thetabletv.com with your name, postal address, and the name of this book, which again is More Nature Superfoods. Your other option is to leave a phone message. The numbers are right there on your screen. Now, this is really going to get you thinking, ladies. Do you have hundreds of friends or just a few? When we think about it, some people have a lot of friends on social media and they think that these are their real friends. Well, psychologist Tony Crabb, writing for Court, says it's healthier to have fewer friends. Mary Ellen, you study psychology. Can you talk us through this a little bit?
Well, I'll try my best. Pretty sure I won't kind of get all the details, but basically research has shown that the average person can't have more than 150 friends, right? That's the maximum that we can sort of maintain. Yet on Facebook, we will have 500, 1,000. Some people have thousands and thousands and thousands of friends. And yet people are feeling more alone than ever, despite the fact that they have all these friends on Facebook. And so the researchers said that there's a huge correlation between the amount that someone actually uses Facebook and how lonely they are. So the more someone uses Facebook, the more lonely they are.
Well, I think, as I was reading the article as well, I think they were saying that lonelier people tend to use Facebook more.
Correlation, so
Yeah.
What I'm curious about though is the definition of friends. Like how do people actually, different people define friends differently.
Well, how do you define friends? Who do you consider, how do you define your friends?
I think the ones that I really call friends are the ones that I would give a call. I wouldn't hesitate to call at 2 o'clock in the morning with an issue that I'm having.
So that genuinely is a real friend who'd answer the phone and who'd have that conversation with you.
Don't let me give me your... you're not having my mobile.
not real friends, not real friends.
What about you, Mary Ellen? What's your definition for friends?
I would definitely define it very similarly. I would say, because I often feel quite awkward going to someone's house for the first time because I want to be polite. I don't want to, step on their toes. But the people that I don't feel awkward doing that to, like just turning up at their doorstep and being like, hey, are my true friends. So it's kind of similar.
So you can just pop over their house unannounced.
Just pop over unannounced. And I'd say I've really only got about 3 friends that I could do that with. So it's not very many.
Yeah. I guess, when it really comes down to it, it is a really small and kind of select group of people. Have you noticed that over the course of life that number has gotten smaller and smaller? Because it
Mine's
seems
got
like
bigger.
Oh, really? How is that? Well, what do you define friends as? Is it 2 in.the morning? Is it?
Well, yeah, no. We had this discussion before, and I sort of have this area where people don't encroach on my life. So I'm not the person that you would pop in and see. Even you need to ring me before you come to my
Even a
house.
friend.
Even a friend, yeah. And I wouldn't do that to a friend either. I'm definitely the person who rings up and says, "Are you home? Do you want to go for a coffee or whatever?" But I'm the type of friend that I don't necessarily share my life with you, but I'm willing to sit and listen and you can vent to me. So, yeah, that's how friendship is for me. Because I have a very close relationship with my husband, so him and I talk about everything.
So you don't really need an outlet for anything else.
I don't have enough space for another one.
Yeah. Well, I think about this idea of friendship, and I think that as I've gotten older, it seems as though with moving and everything that happens in life that the friendship circle seems to get a little bit tighter. But is there any way that we can kind of extend, because it seems as though you're able to extend the friendship to some people, because we talk so much about loneliness on this show.
Yeah, for me it was church again, and it was making the conscious effort to invite people into my life. So come over for lunch, let's go and do a picnic, let's get out and about, having friends who were my children's friends. That's a really good one to have, ladies, because you know what's going on.
But you know what I found interesting about what you said about how you made friendships is actually that personal relationship where
Vulnerability,
you
right?
invite
Like-
someone. Yeah.
Well, you know, I consider you ladies to be my friends. I may not pop over your house at 2 in.the morning.
That's fine.
Well, enough for sitting around and chatting. Let's get active with Alicia. And she says that if you're pregnant, you should still try to keep fit. So let's take a look and see if we can keep up with her.
Hi, Alicia here, the Table's resident personal trainer. We're going to talk about a very interesting and sometimes controversial topic for a second, and that is exercising while pregnant.
Oh, are you allowed to?
Okay, great question. Shona, what have you heard? I just wanted to see first what's kind of out there on that.
I just listen to my body, and my body says no.
I like your body.
Okay, yep.
You just have to be extra careful, particularly around the sort of ab area.
Sure.
But
Yeah,
I
okay.
don't know, I've just heard that you can continue doing what you were doing before. So if you
Yes.
weren't doing anything, don't
Don't try and be super. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, look, really interesting points you've all brought up. What's actually interesting is research has changed, and even just this morning on my way here, I was listening to a podcast by a physiotherapist who specialises in women's health, and the Australian Sports Association, even the American Gynecology Association, they actually say that not only is it safe to exercise during pregnancy, they recommend it. And even if you haven't before, they're now saying it's even safe to start. Now, of course, you're not going to go all hectic and start crossfitting while you're pregnant, but you can actually begin, and they say that the benefits far outweigh the risks of actually exercising during pregnancy. Now, of course, there can be complications, there can be individual unique situations that limit that, and that's totally okay.
So you probably should go to your doctor and say, these are the
Absolutely.
things I'm thinking about doing. Can I
Yep.
do it?
And there are, of course, some contraindications, some absolute contraindications to exercise. But if you are just in the general population of healthy, low-risk pregnancy, then exercise is actually really good for you. They recommend up to 150 minutes a week, which is about 30 minutes a day for 5 days. Of moderate intensity.
What about
Walking, swimming.
Walking, swimming.
would be good.
what
Yep.
week can you start? Because I think I was a bit scared in the beginning phases to work out.
And that's a great question. I think what it comes down to is listening to your body and
Listen to your body, people. Listen to your body.
and if you've got some hectic symptoms, you're spewing up all the time and you're just out on the lounge, then of course you just do what you can. Like if getting out and walking for 10 minutes is all you can do, just do that. So you've got to just gauge it, I think, by how you're feeling.
So it doesn't matter whether it's first trimester, second trimester.
No.
Just listen to your
Yeah,
body.
exactly. Now, there's obviously a few things, like first and third trimester are actually similar, funnily enough. So relaxin peaks at the end of first trimester and at the end of third, which means that hormone, it softens all your joints and muscles.
Yes.
So you have to be extra careful of sprains and strains. And I've noticed, by the way, that at the moment I'm 15 weeks pregnant.
Oh, congratulations.
And I've noticed in the last couple of weeks that, like, even just reaching for something, everything's cracking, you know. So that hormone's really at work, and it's almost like that it has a practice run of loosening everything up in first trimester. So you do need to be careful of that. And they also say, like, say you are, you know, you've been regularly squatting and deadlifting, that sort of thing, doing weights, they say to only do about 70% of your normal range of motion during first and third trimesters. And then, of course, you just need to be careful of, like, overdoing the intensity. So you don't want to be doing full-on high intensity, especially if you haven't done it before. But I've personally found if whatever you did beforehand, you can continue and you just start, you know, listening and going, you know what, I'm not feeling quite comfortable with that anymore, I'm going to stop, or lessen the intensity, and you can really continue right up to the baby if, you know, you're feeling okay about it and there's no absolute contraindications to it.
Note to self.
Yeah. So,
No planking.
take-home message is you can exercise safely, and it's even recommended during pregnancy, and there's heaps of benefits I could go into, but I won't. Look it up, you can see for yourself, and yeah, it's definitely worthwhile if you can. Well, thanks for joining us. I hope you've learnt something, and come join us again soon. See you later.
Well, it is really great to have back in the studio the pelvic expert, Heba Shahid. Thanks for coming back to visit us here at the table. We're so glad to have you back again.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, you know, we ran out of time last time. We were chatting so much, and we had so much to talk about that we missed an opportunity to chat about something that affects a lot of women, which is endometriosis. And, you know, that can kind of sound scary and medical. So let's start with the bare basics. Heba, can you share with us what would a woman experience if she were having the symptoms of endometriosis?
So the main symptoms that women with endometriosis have are severe period pain, and that's kind of the main determining sort of symptom. But along with period pain, a lot of women can also have things like pelvic pain, sexual pain, they can have pain down their legs, they can have bowel pain as well, so things like irritable bowel syndrome, so they get intolerances to certain foods, they get a lot of bloating, gas, constipation and so on. And some women even have issues around their bladders as well, so they might experience like urgency or frequency, like really needing to go to the bathroom. And a lot of women can, that pelvic pain, you know, it doesn't necessarily happen in all women who have endometriosis. Some women with endometriosis, their main symptom that they have is infertility. So they are trying to fall pregnant and they've been trying for a long time and then it's just not happening. And then when they go to their doctor and their doctor does some tests and then they think it could be endometriosis. So, yeah.
You know, I've been reading and I've seen that many women don't even get diagnosed. They have endometriosis for many years before they actually realize it, as you said. Can you just explain, like, take it all the way back for us beyond the symptoms? What exactly is endometriosis?
So endometriosis is a condition where there is growth of abnormal cells inside the pelvis and outside the pelvis. And these cells...
So hold on, outside the pelvis as well?
Yes.
So not necessarily stays within the pelvic area?
Yeah, no, it can be in your abdomen, so in your bowels. Some women even have these abnormal cells. They've been found on the liver, on the pancreas, on the brain.
On the brain?
Yeah,
So it must have been growing for quite a while to get to that stage?
Potentially.
Yeah.
And the thing about these cells is that they behave in the same way as the lining of your uterus. So if you think about the lining of the uterus, those cells are just supposed to be there. And then when you have a period, these cells break down and they leave out through the vagina and they leave your body. But if you have cells that are behaving or they're the same as these uterine lining cells, then these cells, they bleed too, but there's nowhere for them to leave the body. So they can build up and they cause inflammation, scarring, adhesion. So things like people's ovaries stick to their bowels and their bowels stick to their bladders and all sorts of things like that. And eventually they have the pain and some women will go on to have infertility as well.
Is this similar to tumors, or is this, you know, because I've seen that there are growths. You know, we often think of growths as being tumors or cancerous or anything like that.
So endometriosis isn't a cancer, but it is an abnormal growth of cells, and it can debilitate women so much so that it could be worse than cancer in some of these women. That they're so debilitated by this condition.
Okay, I'm most concerned with, is there a cure?
There actually is no cure or cure for endometriosis, but there is management plans. So women can go and see a gynecologist, particularly one who specialises in endometriosis. So they can have excision, so they actually go in and they cut out these endometrial cells.
Ouch.
But so they go in through a laparoscopy. It is quite painful, the recovery afterwards as well. But then a lot of the time their symptoms can settle. But in a lot of women, the symptoms don't settle
They
because
come back again.
Yeah.
they can come back again, but also their whole body becomes involved. So their nervous system and their hormonal system is now involved. So a lot of what they need to do is more than just surgery. It's looking at their diet, looking at how they move, making sure they're exercising. Having some physiotherapy is very helpful for women who have endometriosis. Understanding what's happening in the brain in terms of pain, because when you're in pain for such a long time, your brain and your nervous system changes. So we need to educate them with understanding that pain, understanding the pain system, the neuroscience and so on, so that they can actually reduce the pain in their body. So it's kind of looking at in a holistic way, not just surgery. It's more than that.
Well, Heb, I want to talk about this issue of pain because often as women, we associate pain in a lot of what we think is normal part of women's life. So we think a period has to be painful. But I've heard people say that if your period is keeping you from going to work and school, then it's something that you should probably check out. How would a woman know that this period pain is abnormal?
So period pain is not normal. Even though we've been told this, for generations, period pain is not normal. It's a sign that something's going wrong. The most common cause of period pain is endometriosis. And then the other causes is things like excess hormones or excess inflammation in the body, things like prostaglandins, which can cause pain and inflammation in the body. So period pain can be managed. You just need to get to the root of it. Is it that the hormones are out of balance and you need to bring them back into balance? Or is it that the nervous system is compromised and you need to do some, certain exercises or certain nerve release techniques to help? So period pain isn't normal, and if you are having period pain that's, you're vomiting, you're in agony, you can't go to school, you can't go to work, then definitely get it checked out. And I recommend anyone who has period pain to get checked out.
So when you say no period pain, does that mean no dull ache? Because I know most women will experience some sort of, you can feel something happening.
So some mild cramping or some dull aches, like a little bit of lower back discomfort is okay. But if it's period pain, you're in agony, you're rolled over, you can't work, you can't go to school and so on, then that's
you're in bed for 2 days with a hot water bottle.
Yeah.
It's actually quite funny because that's exactly what I had before I got pregnant, and I actually went to check it out, and the doctors actually thought I had endometriosis. I can't pronounce the word.
Endometriosis.
Endo. But then the funny thing is that, so I did fall pregnant and then I gave birth, and since then I haven't had any period pain at all. There's not even a dull ache.
Wow.
So they say that pregnancy can help with the symptoms, and we know that because when a woman falls pregnant, her body gets into a state of a lot of progesterone. So we know that progesterone helps with endometriosis symptoms. So more progesterone you have in your body, the less period pain you have. So being pregnant, you have all these hormonal changes which can then persist after birth, and you can get that under control, and that's why a lot of women, their period pain improves. It's a hormonal issue. Fix your hormones, fix your pain.
Well, Heba, as we're talking about this, there are probably some women who are watching right now who are suffering with this, especially those who haven't yet fallen pregnant and want to. As a closing, would you be able to talk to us a little bit about what a woman can do if she has endometriosis and she's maybe dealing with infertility? What are some suggestions you might have for her, just quickly?
There's a few different things that you can do, but definitely go and see a gynecologist who specialises in endo. You can see a physiotherapist as well to help with the pain. Get your diet under control, so look at your nutrition and do certain exercises to help mobilise your pelvis and open up your hips.
Well, thank you so much. You've given us hope and you've informed us all together at the same time. And thank you for being with us here today at the table. We've had some really great information, but we need to wrap it up here with you here in the studio. But you can always keep the conversation going with us on social media. And Facebook and YouTube are the place that you'll find us, as well as Instagram. We'd really love to hear your opinions and your stories, because there is always a place for you here at the table. Thank you so much for watching, and God bless. And ladies, I have really enjoyed spending this time with you, the community that I find with you. Heba, for being with us here again. And I just look forward to the next time that we're going to be able to be here together. I would always love to see you guys here again.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.